happy to celebrate the kickoff of FinEst Wins Smart City Center of Excellence with all of you. And in a way, this is a big thank you event, because all of you that have been invited to here have been invited personally and have contributed over the last 5 years into making this happen. And as you can imagine, 5 years has been a long time. And so really want to thank you all for coming here today to celebrate this kickoff. And as an initiative, we are actually on our 11th day in operation. And that being said is that being a startup initiative in the field of research and innovation, we can still be agile and we can still learn from your expectations. And so the second big task for today is really to set expectations for us from all our key partners. And we will start with the biggest partner of us, which is Estonian government, represented by Minister Mailis Reps, Minister for Research and Education, and then followed by Taavi Aas, Minister for Communication, Minister for Economics and Infrastructure. And then later we will sign a joint memorandum of understanding as well with ministers and with our rector. So I would like to give the floor to Minister Mailis Reps.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Honorable Rector, representatives from the Commission, government, city, and of course, ladies and gentlemen who are all involved in this finest thing we are really celebrating today. And this kickoff is, of course, with the fact that it has already started, but the official launch is today. And it is really the honor and the privilege to be among you today as this finest twin city of excellence is getting off and a little bit kicked as well. Some have called it the EU mega project. Some just said that it's a huge thing, but it is clear that it's much more than merely a small project. In the next 8 years, this project will boost the start of a center of excellence and competence that is bound to have a wider impact for research and innovation for Estonia and the wider areas. And the 5 key areas which you all know are transportation, energy, construction and architecture, data and governance. I know the fact that nearly every person here, if not all people here, have had the important role to play during the last 5 years in making the idea of this Center of Excellence a reality it is today. I thank each and every one of you for these efforts and, of course, congratulations for all of you. I thank also, next to the people, also institutions, the City of Helsinki, the Forum Virium Helsinki, Aalto University, of course the Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs, and Tallinn University of Technology as a leading partner. Although today the finest twins does not yet physically exist, we are at the heart of a future center of excellence, the Tallinn University of Technology. And already in a year the initial setup has been completed and the activities are running. The Center of Excellence is funded jointly the European Commission and Government of Estonia. In the next 8 years, the Commission funding is 15 million euros and the Government of Estonia has put forward 17.2 million euros. In essence, the aim of the Center of Excellence is to bring together the best competencies from Finland and Estonia in the 5 areas mentioned before, and they initiate a qualitative shift in putting the research results out there in the urban environment to initially have a real-life solutions in and for our cities. These solutions most probably do not exist yet. That is the nature of research and development. The role of FinEst Twins is to initiate the change by both performing research and putting it out here. What is the context? Where does the foundation of the Center of Excellence come from? There are many roots and aspects, but I will mention just a few. Estonia has long a digital nation. We have digitalized our state services, lives in a large degree, and we have the first generation of young adults that do not know what it means to leave your computer in order to communicate with the state, with a bank, etc. While it can be both a blessing or a curse, the fact that we take the digital domain for granted makes Estonia an ideal testing site for new solutions. We have a strong ICT higher education and research. Without that, we would not have this event here. We have a thriving ICT sector, and a large degree of Estonian startups focus on ICT services and products. Nearly half of a private sector R&D expenditure comes from the ICT sector. And finally, I wish to stress that the cooperation with Finland is not just another joint venture. Estonia and Finland have always had a very special connection, and the FinEst Twins is no exception. Regarding science and technology, Finland is a global superpower, and it is our pleasure to learn from you and spread that excellence to our side of the Gulf. Bringing it all together, what are the broad expectations for FinEst Twins? Estonian research excellence is very high. We punch well above our weight, but on the other hand, we have much work to do in bridging the gap between excellent research results and putting them in practical use. That is what I expect FinEst Twins to achieve. To put in just another way, to take our urban environment and through the research and innovation boldly go where no one has gone before. Secondly, to be much more than just a project. After an initial starting period, we expect the Center of Excellence to be sustainable in every way, and I believe that we have good odds for that to become a reality. Tallinn University of Technology has given a Center of Excellence much institutional freedom and at the same time all the benefits of being part of a large university. And thirdly, I hope that the FinEst Twins will be able to put 1 and 1 together and get at least 3. I fully support the ambition of a large-scale interdisciplinary and international cooperation that will make up a new combinations of different fields and partners, some that have not cooperated before and get much added value as a result. Thank you.
And now I would like to give floor to Mr. Taavi Aas, Minister for Economic Affairs and Infrastructure.
Your Excellency, Honorable Rector, dear guests, welcome to Tallinn and to the ceremony for establishing this smart city center of excellences. I want to thank the organizers and the team behind FinEst Twins for making this event possible. As the Minister for Economic Affairs and Infrastructure, I lead the development of Estonian economy policy, including policies of energy, construction and transportation. These are all fields which FinEst Twins tackles in its mission towards improving our research and innovation and cooperation with our neighbors and colleagues in Finland. Before becoming minister, I was a mayor of Tallinn, where my focus was urban transport. I am very happy that this project helps to develop clean and sustainable smart city in its focus areas. It is important that the future transport system meets economic, social and environmental needs. The urban open platform and lab that will develop and pilot smart city projects will be very useful in creating solutions that can really improve our everyday life. For example, autonomous vehicle in urban transport for goods and for people. Mobility as a service, smart heating and smart curbs, urban spaces and livable cities. Many countries in Europe are facing similar challenges, which cannot be changed with traditional means. ICT and smart city solutions should be used as enablers. There is no going back. There is only the question whether governments are insightful to act as the drivers' innovation. Today's services are global by their nature, residing in no particular country. Such business models need supported legislative and ICT infrastructure to enable their adoption. For example, mobility sharing platforms like the Estonian Bolt are struggling all over the world to the poor legislation. In Estonia, we have legislated such platform services to bring fast and affordable mobility closer to the citizens. In March 2017, Estonia made it legal to test self-driving vehicles on all national and local roads in the country. Now we can see that this step was also necessary to support and encourage the development of such technology by TALTE. Also, from July 2017, we legalized small parcel robots who can drive in the sidewalks and carry goods to people to fill the missing link of the last mile logistics. Most of today's solutions are cross-sectoral and interdependent to holistic development. For example, there is much discussion on the application of 5G network. Over the last 10 years, Estonia has invested more than 80 million euro to the backbone network development in rural areas. As a result, about 7,000 kilometers additional fiber optic network has been built, and it covers the main transport routes in Estonia, a solid foundation for 5G development. We are in the process to writing the new transport and mobility master plan for Estonia. In this process, we have involved top transport experts in the world to help us to making the fact-based and forward-looking policies. Looking ahead 10 to 15 years, it is very important to further increase the links between public, private and the research and innovation community. FinEst Twin Center of Excellences for Smart Cities will help to establish a solid long-term cooperation to increase the potential of Estonian smart city sectors. I truly believe that this will help us to step closer to the Twin City concept with Helsinki, which will definitely increase the competitiveness of our economics. I am eager to see the first results of this center and wish you all interesting discussions for the next days. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite ministers back to here and jointly with Rector to sign the joint memorandum of understanding between Tallinn University of Technology and Ministry for Education and Research, and also consortium agreement between Tallinn University of Technology and Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications. So please, you can choose your flags. Or you can change them as well. So, applause. Now we will invite our rector back to the stage to give the opening speech. And university centrally has been one of the biggest supporters of this center of excellence being set up, especially during the last year and two. And on the other hand, university has a big challenge that it needs to keep the autonomy of the center as well. So being a part of big university, at the same time being autonomous, is our biggest challenge. So welcome, Aaviksoo.
I'd like to start with a big thank you. And this big thank you goes to all our partners and all people behind this mission. Launching a mission like that has usually even a longer preparatory period than the mission's time itself. This time it might not be the case, but anyhow, as it was said before, we started some 4 or 5 years ago to conceptualize, to compete, to have disappointments, to start again, to reconsider, to redefine, to find new partners, and be successful in the end of the day. I think we are all happy. But I think it's also a possibility to put this mission into a broader context, broader European as well as Estonian, Finnish, and Northern European context. I think it's fair to say that in very many areas, despite efforts over the last 2 decades, Europe as a part of the world has not achieved its innovation goals as well as economic goals. We are in an increasingly competitive world where innovation plays a central role. We know we are excellent in our research, but we also know that the big multinationals, especially in emerging new technologies, are not Europe-based. We know we have very many good solutions everywhere, all across Europe, both in the old member states as well as in the new ones. But we haven't been able to scale them up, make them globally competitive, and be a global success. All this, I think, frames also the teaming project of the European Commission, as well as a concrete example in the form of FinEst twins, which we'll launch today. It is also a challenge for all of us in the sense that it is conceptualized as a very modern and contemporary research and innovation effort. I do believe that all the people behind it and all the partners have really a joint and shared understanding that it is a problem and mission-oriented undertaking instead of following some academic highlights or technical improvements into existing technologies. It's about a different world. It's about solving the challenges what we have, starting from climate change, but also mobility, traffic congestions, clean water, clean air, convenient urban environments, and so on and so forth. We also know that sometimes the technology-driven development is not the best solution for us. We do need to work on the human component of the social development. It's also about values. It's also about a discussion of preferences. Balancing efficiency in the economic sense and human values on the other hand. Balancing increased possibilities given to us by technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, and balancing that with privacy and security and a number of things that we've valued high throughout our histories. It's also about language and communication. It's a number of very practical questions which we wish to combine into a joint efforts across the Gulf of Finland, between the cities of Tallinn and Helsinki, between the universities in those cities, namely Aalto in Finland and Tallinn here in Estonia. We are extremely grateful that we've managed to build a working consortium that joins academic partners, government, as well as the cities. I do believe that cities are playing an increasing role in European developments. While we are trying to build down the walls between countries, unify our practices and technologies, do away with legal, cultural, linguistic barriers. At the same time, we see that these developments are mainly driven by major cities, all across Europe, worldwide, as well as here in north of Europe. We do have a number of good things already, either working or in progress. Most of you, I think, know the importance of the visit of the Finnish president back in 1964, more than 50 years ago, and the role it played through establishing a ferry link between Tallinn and Helsinki. This contributed essentially to the success in this part of the world after the collapse of the Soviet Empire. We've made use of those practices and built a number of other links. We may start from power lines, Estlink 1 and Estlink 2. We may talk about the Baltic connector that makes the gas market in north of Europe a unified market. A number of other efforts underway. One of them, from now on, is the Finis twins in the area of research and innovation, directed to solve practical problems that face our cities and our countries. What makes this project different, beyond what I've said so far, it is its horizontal integration. Frankly speaking, we don't know really how it's going to work. But from all the documents prepared and all the discussions we've had so far, we understand that there is a unique possibility to build this as a horizontal research and innovation network that solves challenges and problems in an integrated way, combining both knowledge in the academic sense of the world, practical technologies on the other hand, and real problems that face our governments, city governments, as well as businesses. One of the biggest challenges in this area, I think, is to develop it into working business models. I'm not speaking about the center and its future after the initial funding period where both European Union as well as the Estonian government have essentially contributed to make it viable in the academic sense. But I also believe that it has to be viable in an economic sense, developing business models and solutions that are scalable, that can transferable, and can be made useful to our partners in other parts of the European Union as well as outside of Europe. I know these challenges are global. I know very many bigger cities than even Tallinn and Helsinki combined are working on those problems. But I do believe we do have our strengths. We are still hungry. We are still hungry for success. The last 20-25 years of Estonian national development have proven to our partners as well as to ourselves that if we are really committed to something, if we really believe in something, we are able to decide, we are able to move forward. we are able to go through hardships, and we are able to reach solutions. And I do believe that our partners feel in the same way. But we are also flexible, and I hope we are still fast and smart enough to remove obstacles that may stand in the way of success, be they bureaucratic, be they cultural, be they economic, be they purely academic challenges. Flexibility, quest for excellence, looking for strong partners worldwide, inviting them to contribute to Finest Twins. This is the way forward, and this is what I think the university, together with its partners, has invested into this Finest Twins endeavor. Estonia is not a small country. It is a very small country. Finland is a small country. Caltech is not a small university. It's a very small university on the global scale. We are all small in one way or the other. The only way to make us bigger is through cooperation. And cooperation extending not only across national borders or institutional borders, but most importantly across academic disciplines, which is always the biggest challenge. At least those people who worked in academic administration know what I mean. We all, as specialists in our own field, believe that this is the most important thing in the world. In my case, it's optics and spectroscopy. But I do believe that we've also learned a lesson that unless we step down and talk to people, increasingly more people, increasingly with different views, the more successful can we also be in our specific narrow discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy, but I'm also excited because frankly speaking, I don't know where we are heading. This is the interesting side of the modern times, that unpredictability, dynamism, turbulence, unexpected problems arising not in years' time, but weekly or even daily. This is what characterizes the modern world, including the project of Finest Twins. It has a time horizon of 7 years, but we have to work hard and deliver every single month and year. And we may have to be able to change our course. And I really hope that our partners, also from the funding side, are able to understand that this flexibility is a positive quality of any project we undertake in these modern times. Of course, through shared understanding. Of course, through consultations. But I'd like to emphasize that in order to succeed in modern times, flexibility is one of the most important qualities. And last but not least, in 5 or 7 years' time, I do believe we are in a very, very different world. Very many of the emerging technologies that we've seen so far only in their infancy are going to change our lives considerably. A few of them I'd like to mention. A very critical problem for all people, or at least almost all people in the world, is the problem of your national language in the ever-globalizing world. How do our native mother tongue survive? What shall we have to do in order for our mother tongue to survive? One way is to protect it from interference. One way is to limit the usage of other languages at the expense of preserving the communication space of your mother tongue. But there are also other ways moving forward. It is teaching your language, be it Estonian, Finnish, German, French, or even Chinese to computers, to the extent that the computers are able not only to understand but to translate online with a quality that the best interpreters can't meet today. This is possible. If we think back where we were 5 or 7 years ago with this automated translation and where we stand as of today, we see the progress made. And I'm sure the same speed will continue into the next 5 to 7 years. Maybe we don't have to translate when we meet next time. Not to finish, but to give a new start to Finest Twins project. We may think about data. Data that we once believed were stored in the offices of statistical authority or in databases or libraries have now come to wider use. We have underused this potential of the data. We don't even know what the potential is. We are sometimes afraid to make it available for understandable reasons on one hand, but also because we are afraid of the increased transparency. Think again where we stood 7 years ago, and think once where we'll stand after 7 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I started with saying thank you to the people in this hall who in one way or other have contributed to this project. To our formal partners from Finland, from Estonia, from the European Commission. What is the most critical issue making this project, well actually any project a success, is the enthusiasm of the people involved, especially young people, the students, who luckily don't know what is impossible, and they are looking for impossible. In that process of fighting with the limits of possible, they are pushing the horizon of possibilities much further than we can even imagine. So if I were asked to wish something to this starting project, is that you'll always have many young people from all over the place who are interested to contribute, to face the challenges that you are trying to solve and contribute to solving those challenges. And this is our responsibility as university administration, as governments and cities, to create opportunities and possibilities for those young and not that young people to succeed. Thank you, and good luck, Finest Twins.
Now we are very happy to invite Mayor of Tallinn, Mr. Mihhail Kõlvart, on stage. And we have always taken City of Tallinn as our fifth partner. At some point we wanted to formalize this as well, but that was too complicated. And for that reason we have initiated a joint collaboration called TalTech City this year. And this is also has been a very good model for the university and city to collaborate in the field of smart city. So please.
Honorable Rector, dear visionaries, it is my great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Tallinn City, to welcome brave persons here in this room. why brave? Because our century favors the brave, the ones who come out with something extraordinary. The extraordinary, not the business as usual, stands out in the global world that seeks stories of a future that is actually better, not worse, than the past. A vision that gives us a reason to wake up in the morning and to work for common goals. A vision that will unite good people and brave people around the world with us. Because why should anybody look at two little cities in the far northeast periphery of Europe? We are small, or maybe very small cities, but not only. We are cities with ugly weather. Even more, we need this vision in a time of deepening crisis, what we fail to comprehend fully yet. As a Nobel-winning economist, Joseph Stiglitz has said, we are in the midst of three existential crises: the climate crisis, inequality crisis, and the crisis of democracy. These are interconnected and global challenges that face all humankind. They are urgent and they ask for coordinated action. Last week, the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, announced that the Green Deal, the new foundation of European politics and Europe's new economic growth strategy. I quote, "While we will promote transformation in how we produce and consume, live and work, we must also protect those who risk being hit harder by such change. This transition must work for all, or it will not work at all. We should not be afraid of the structural changes ahead, because it's something that we will do together and something we will do for everybody." Local governments are sometimes told that we should stick to our turf, that we should not deal with questions that are above us. I couldn't disagree more. I fully support the opinion of Rector. It is in city that the fate of the world will be played out. Either by aggravating these problems by complacency and neglect, or by providing credible and exciting narratives for new ways of life. It depends on cities whether our societies, cities and countryside alike, are clean, equal, and democratic. It is also true that only what gets measured gets done. Until now, we have measured GDP growth that has led to a web of crisis. We must strive to use a more wholesome measurement of social development, of possibility for all members of our society, of state of biodiversity, of the real impact of our actions on the environment, and the sense of trust in the society. We should set measuring our people's happiness at the top of our list. Because also without the climate threat, what good are rich societies with unhappy and disturbed people? The FinEst Twins initiative, accompanied by Taltech City Corporation platform, should work in that framework. We need to create solutions that provide a roadmap for a climate-friendly, just, and democratic society. Science-based solutions that will pave way for green mobility, providing opportunities for everybody and giving a chance to participate in the city's decision-making. A vision for a connected Tallinn and Helsinki urban area that inspires other regions with its audacity, that creates opportunities for all people and business, that creates equality among our societies and a sense of belonging to our people. Together, we can create an urban area that puts us on the map. And we have a rare possibility of selling in the stern wind of the Estonian e-state and the Finnish happiest people narrative. To add to this, the very strong educational systems in both countries. We get a mix that is completely unique in the world. Both Tallinn and Helsinki should capitalize on this to create a strong, united capital cities narratives. Smart is not only digital. It is providing a sound network for urban biking. It is thinking about city biodiversity in a holistic way. It's creating a truly user-centered public transport system. It is constructing cities that are made for walking, that are low in noise and good in air quality. Let's measure the right things. I want to say that by smart city, we should not think only about sensors, artificial intelligence, proactive services, and hyperloop tubes. These are all important, but not the center stage. I want to say that all of our solutions should cater for the people and should keep in mind the existential crisis that we are going through. In order to achieve that, our joint work should provide data in case studies on initiative and forward-looking decision-making processes. The city councils, the universities, the civil society, the think tank and companies of both cities need to be smart, need to think globally and make coordinated decisions. We need a double city that truly provides the space of people to stay healthy and happy. A double city that provides the best living quality in the world, despite of the weather here. Thank you.
And now I'd be happy to invite our rector and mayor back to sign a joint next year agreement on continuing smart city research and innovation activities under the platform called Taltech City. And now, in a way, we can move towards more open discussion as well. That being said is that I know that Estonians and Finns are not that good in asking questions and really need to be taken out from them. But if you really think that you have a good question to be asked, either from rector or from mayor, or from the next level presentations as well, which is more than welcome. So please, we were in a bit hurry with the first presentations as ministers really need to leave on time, but here, as all of you have a stake here, and most obviously you actually have some questions as well. So if you do have them, please just raise a hand, and we have a microphone there as well. To have a volume up. If not at this stage, when we can continue with our presentations and give the floor to European Commission. So first to Signe Ratso, who is the Deputy Director General for Research and for DG Research and Innovation, and who can give some expectations on the policy level for this deeming instrument. Please.
Dear Rector, our Finnish friends, dear colleagues, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today at the inauguration of Finest Twins project, being a multidisciplinary smart cities center of excellence in Tallinn. Allow me first and foremost to congratulate the coordinator of this project, Tallinn University of Technology, or TalTech, and its research partners, Aalto University, Forum Virium Helsinki, and Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs, for preparing, competing, and obtaining this prestigious Horizon 2020 teaming grant. Rector Jaak Aaviksoo mentioned that this has been a long way to be ready for this project and also for this grant. I remember when Ralph Martin came to my office in Brussels and presented the idea, the project idea, which already at that time really showed its very great potential. But at that time it was far from sure that the project will be awarded the teaming grant. There were 43 proposals received for this teaming call, and out of these 43, only 13 projects were selected by the independent jury. So I had no influence whatsoever in this process. But this is the first time that Estonia receives a teaming to grant, and with 15 million EU funding matched by a bit more than 17 million national funding, the project is the biggest ever competitive research and development grant in Estonia. I know that some of you have compared it with the R&D Oscar award. And there is some truth to it, because really only the best will be selected. But I'd rather would like to think about it as the first step in a major road towards several R&D Oscars to come. Finest Twins has really an ambitious vision. It has an ambitious goal. And most importantly, it has valuable assets to leverage and build on. It not only aims at building a center of excellence here in Tallinn in order to develop solutions for cross-border smart cities to be tested and implemented, but it has much more ambitious goal, namely to scale these solutions to other twin cities in Europe, but also globally. And I really believe that we should think big in order to be able to do great things. Let me just share with you 3 thoughts related to this project. First, what I'd like to mention is the widening aspect. You may ask, why would we need the widening measures in our research and development framework program? As you know, European research funding is based on excellence, and it's globally known for its excellence. Only the best and the most excellent ones are to be selected via competitive funding. This is and this will continue to be the cornerstone of research and innovation funding in Europe. But there is also a downside to it, leading to excellent institutions becoming more excellent and less performing ones, unfortunately, lagging behind. This is why in Horizon 2020 framework program, the Commission and Member States decided to pilot with the so-called spreading excellence and widening participation component, which aims to unlock the full potential of European research and innovation capabilities, namely supporting the member states which otherwise had lower participation rates in the framework program. And what are the results today, now that we have just one more year to go with the current framework program? When I compare the results of the previous one, FP7, then 4.2% of the grants were awarded to the 13 newest EU member states. Now, in this framework program, it's 5.2%. Now, it's already higher. And clearly, we need to move even more higher. But moving beyond, and these figures, data and figures, we also have the testimonies of those who have actually benefited from these grants. And what they say that very often these widening grants have had a significant influence on the research policy of their institutions, but also of the whole countries. In many cases, these grants have become game changers for the participants' national research and innovation ecosystems as a whole. So we are committed to bridge the research and innovation gap, which unfortunately still exists in Europe. And we are also happy to see the political support that the widening participation, spreading excellence part in Horizon Europe has been recognized also, as said, at the political level. So now it's been decided that 3.3% of the entire Horizon Europe budget will be spent on these widening activities. And in addition to the measures that there are in this part today, there will be also additional measures, those which aim at fostering brain circulation, which improve the quality of proposals, boost the activities of national contact points, establish matchmaking services, and promote other initiatives on excellence. There will be also a special measure, the so-called hop-on action, which will allow new partners from the widening countries to join already collaborative research and innovation projects. The ministers had to leave, but I'd like to call upon all the audience, the stakeholders who are present here today, namely to call up to the politicians, namely that we are, in order to have as big budget in the new framework MFF as the Commission has put forward. The increase of more than 30%, 100 billion euros for the next 7 years. Only by this means we'll be able really to support all projects and excellent projects that are really worthy of supporting from the European budget. So the first aspect was widening. The second point I'd like to make, and I'm also glad to see that Rector Arvidsson made the same point, that is cooperation. European research funding, its widening part, and the teaming instrument in particular is all about cooperation. Cooperation between different researchers, between different institutions, between different disciplines. It really brings countries together, researchers together, pooling knowledge and resources in order to develop the new knowledge and also to implement it. So it's European cooperation at its best. Cross-border collaboration, breaking the silos, bringing people together around a common idea and working together for joint results. In research, people are naturally used to international cooperation. And as we know, the international teams actually have better results. They get also better sightings when we speak about the research excellence and research impacts. But Finest twins teaming is clearly a remarkable example of this kind of cooperation. It's cooperation between two research institutions, Taltech and Aalto University, two countries, Estonia, Finland, two cities, Tallinn and Helsinki, and also the bigger area around them. It's cooperation by designing, focusing cross-border, interoperable smart city cooperation. And I'm also glad to see that quite a few companies, both big and small, have already signed up to be ready also to cooperate around the nucleus of these projects. So the nucleus will be a new center of excellence established here in Taltech, but I hope that the cooperation spirit will be the foundation of its activities, new cooperation, which would actually be a much wider impact. And my final point is the links with society. Already it was mentioned earlier by Minister that Estonia has already a good experience in digital solutions, which have brought benefits not only for the countries, not only for the businesses, but for all ordinary citizens, as we can actually enjoy much easier lives as a result of this. So the knowledge created in this, in the scientific projects is important, but it will be limited if it only will remain there. We also need to implement the solutions, in order to have higher impact on societies. And as we know, the new framework program, Horizon Europe, will aim at greater impacts on research, on economies, and on societies. That's why it's been recognized that research is not an aim itself, but it actually is an enabler in order to help the societies to lead and to find the solutions to the economic, environmental, and societal transitions, which will be most necessary in the current age. In Europe, we have decided to launch dedicated activities, which we call research and innovation missions. The missions have been inspired by Man to the Moon mission, which was launched by President Kennedy in the US in the 60s, and which brought together the whole nation. Likewise, Horizon Europe missions will aim to address important societal problems that people care about, that also aim to bring everybody together to find the solutions to these particular problems. You may know that 5 areas have been selected for the first missions to be developed, and these actually clearly come from the areas which are important for the societies and also the areas that people care about. Let's just mention these. The first is climate adaptation. In accordance with the latest Eurobarometer, 93% of European citizens believe that the single most important challenge that we are facing is related to climate change. That's why it's most natural that the first mission needs to be related to the climate. But also the other areas which have been chosen are clearly related to climate issues. Healthy oceans and seas, The nations which share the Baltic Sea, the Gulf of Finland, clearly understand the importance of the clear oceans and cities for the livelihood, for the future livelihood of our citizens. Then healthy soil and food. Who can live without food? Then cancer. Everybody is caring about the health of his or her own and the people, the relatives, the people around them. And last but not least, today's topic, climate neutral and smart cities, which is also the topic for the Europe-wide mission. This is what makes the launch of FinEst Twins Smart City Teaming Project so timely and also so attractive. Beyond its original objectives and ambition, it also will create an admirable opportunity, I would even say a responsibility, to become an important actor in implementing the Future Cities mission in Europe. As said, mission areas address important urgent societal problems for which solutions have to be found, new innovative solutions, also solutions related to new research. But there is also the need to bring all actors together, to establish links with public policies, private sector, to engage with citizens first in shaping the agenda, finding out what is really important for the citizens, then delivering solutions and implementing the change. So the missions are also all about cooperation via achieving important results together. So I hope that already in the coming months, in cooperation with national ministries, European Commission, FinEst Europe can take the first actions linked to the climate and smart cities mission. The new Centre of Excellence has the potential to become the centre of joint cooperative actions in Estonia, Finland and beyond, in helping the cities to become climate neutral and smart. As you see, in the European Commission, we really have high hopes for this teaming project from many angles. First, to demonstrate the benefit of widening instrument, allowing research institutions establish new centers of excellence in cooperation with already excellent organizations. Second, to demonstrate the benefits of cross-border collaboration in Europe. And finally, to develop solutions for important societal problems, to show the impact that research can bring for people. I know it's not little to ask, but I also know that you will be able to succeed with your own commitment, with the commitment of all the partners and collaborators, from research organizations, enterprises, and public authorities. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing what this exciting project will deliver in terms of science, innovation, and societal impact. I wish you all the best in this endeavor and would like to congratulate you once more on this important day of beginning a long and successful journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you also from my side, and now we can continue with more with European Commission and Research Executive Agency, Deputy Head of Unit Federica Roffi, and she can introduce more implementational goals of this teaming instrument.
Dear ministers, those that are left, maybe they've already left, Honorable Rector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I feel honored to represent the Research Executive Agency here today at this opening ceremony of the FinEst Twins project. It is a historical moment for both your institute, your country, and Europe, and I'm very happy to be here to share this important moment with you. Let me, like my colleague from the European Commission, congratulate you yet again on having succeeded in a very tough competition. Let's remember that we started off with teaming 1, and for the teaming 1 we had 208 proposals competing. You then had a whole year to carry out your business plan, and then again evaluations for the teaming 2. And as my colleague from the European Commission was saying, there were 43 proposals, so it was quite some competition, also because in the end only 14 got funded. Today we participate in the kick-off meeting of your project, and we are all ready to embark on an exciting journey. I am here on behalf of the Research Executive Agency. The agency was actually set up in 2007 by the European Commission, and its main mission is to implement the research program. Projects under the management of the RIA actually represent almost 20% of the Horizon 2020 budget. And it is expected that the RIA budget will actually increase for the next framework program, namely Horizon Europe. The RIA and the European Commission work closely together, and we are both very strongly committed to provide every necessary support to this project in order to help you succeed. So I have no doubt that all the partners from Finland and from Estonia will develop an excellent and autonomous Center of Excellence. And this is in fact our common goal. We, the RIA and the European Commission, have very high expectations from FinEst Twins project, and not just from its implementation, but also from its impact afterwards on the country and on Europe. We expect that the project will increase the science and innovation potential of your Center of Excellence, which in turn will boost the science and innovation capacity of your country and provide opportunities for economic growth. In order to succeed and to achieve such an important goal, sustainability and sufficient financial autonomy of the Center of Excellence in the long term is actually very important. And we expect a strong commitment from all partners involved in the project. So you signed a grant agreement with the RIA, and we feel to be part of this important endeavor. We're very much looking forward to working with you and to follow closely the developments of your project and help you make this journey and project a success story. Regular and open communication with your project officer, namely Agne Dobransky-Niskota, who is sitting here at the front, the blonde lady, is vital in this process. Therefore, whatever happens, do not hesitate to contact your project officer at any stage of the project lifespan. We are here to help you, and your success will be our success as well. So I'm looking forward to listen to all of you during the project meeting tomorrow as well. And I would like to thank you and wish you every success. Thank you.
For this, I just needed to give an interview to a local TV channel, and everybody is too fast today as well, which is good, because usually with conferences like this, everybody is too long, and when we're waiting that when is the next and most interesting presentation. But now I'm very happy to invite the next presentation, and a very brief story to that is that you already have listened several times this morning is that what this project already now has done and how it has contributed to Finland is that with this small initiative we have managed to change the name of one country. As throughout the presentations, Estonian ministers, mayors stopped using Finland as a country name, but started to use Finland, because everybody's saying FinEst Twins, and that means that we don't have Finland anymore, but we have Finland, and I think our Finnish friends are not that disappointed at us that we call them Finland at some point as well, because this is how we have seen them as well. So I would like to give floor to Mr. Janne Laine, who is the Vice President of Aalto University, and also thank all the researchers from Aalto side. There have been more than 50 people, 50 different researchers, many professor level, that have directly contributed to setting this up. And we really see this initiative as a spin-off research spin-off from Aalto University. So please.
Thank you. Also on my behalf, dear Rector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I was thinking actually before coming here that is the name FinEst or FinEst, but I have heard now so many times in this morning it's the FinEst, so then we keep it fine. So first of all, congratulations to the research team. Excellent work, of course, also Taltech University, city of Tallinn. So this is a very, very big thing for you and for us, Aalto University and Finland. I was thinking that I will tell you first a little bit about the Aalto University and then our expectations related to this FinEst Twins program. So Aalto University, we have now 10 years celebration coming next January. So Aalto University is a very new university where actually 3 Finnish leading universities, Helsinki University of Technology, University of Art and Design Helsinki, and Helsinki School of Economics emerged 10 years ago. As you can see from the slides, so we have a long history, of course, all of our 3 units, and now we are been running this university for 10 years. Why Aalto was established? It was actually to promote Finland's innovation capacity. So the idea was that when putting together technology, business, art and design activities, typically you generate something new in those interfaces. And I can already now say that very interesting things have happened during the first 10 years. We are not a big university, like said. We have about 12,000 students. We have about 400 professors, but I would like to underline 2 things here. We have recruited 280 professors in 10 years. We turned into the American tenure track system, and so started also assistant professors, associate professors, full professor system. And what is also very interesting actually is that today 42% of our academic people are international. It's a very big change from the beginning of our university. We are one of the most international universities in continental Europe at the moment. And that has happened fast. Even we don't understand that maybe ourselves. So when I'm looking at what has happened is that we have really managed to combine these 3 different disciplines very nicely. We are underlying excellence and impact all the time. We have quite unique collaboration combination. So in Europe, you cannot find easily a place where in the same campus we have technology things, business, and art and design. We are actually the only that type of university in Europe at the moment. What also had happened that very interesting is that MIT ranked us as one of the most potential innovation universities in the world. And we generate about 100 startups every year. We have been able to promote events like Slush. This year, just 1 month ago, we had 25,000 people, about 4,000 startup companies visiting Helsinki to see what is happening in the area of innovation ecosystem. What else is that when I'm now coming to thinking about this FinEst Twins collaboration, so Aalto University, we have focused on these 7 areas, core areas. We have like sustainable materials, we have energy solutions, we have human-centered living environment, ICT area, business, and then we have health and well-being technologies, and then art and design and architecture. And in those spearhead areas, or these focus areas, I would raise 3 things. One is that in art and design area, we are ranked number 7 in the world. In business school areas, we are ranked about 30 in the world, which is one of the top business schools in Europe. And then also in technological areas, we are ranked among the 50 best typically in these particular focus areas where Aalto has been now focusing on. As you know that there are 26,000 universities in the world, and out of which maybe 10,000 takes research seriously. So I think that we have managed to really get up our research achievements during the recent years. But when I'm now coming and thinking about what is very crucial, it's of course collaboration, international collaboration especially, and looking at the structure of FinEst Twins project and our focus areas, you can of course see that Aalto University is very committed to collaborate with Estonian partners, since our focus areas and the structure of the project fits very nicely. We have mobility things. I mean, we have lot of activities in these areas, built environment, data, and then energy-related questions. And also in our business school, we have governance activities. So really, the project structure of FinEst Twins fits perfectly to Aalto University core activities. Then a little bit about our Bay Area. So now to the right, of course, it's only 80 kilometers to Tallinn. And you see that in Helsinki area, we have, in the city of Helsinki, we are not located in the city of Helsinki, we are about 8 kilometers from city of Helsinki. So Aalto University is in our campus, we have different type of activities, but I would like to highlight that this white circle there in the picture, we have more than 1,000 high-tech companies in that area. So it's again one of the highest high-tech company concentration in Europe. So in our Helsinki area, we have a lot of possibilities, and I really would like to say that FinEst Twins is part of our collaboration hub, but also we are very happy to be part of the Tallinn area collaboration hub. So this is very, very important for us as well. Then maybe 2 examples that about our activities. So in our Otaniemi is the name of our campus. So we have different type of innovation ecosystems. One of them is called Smart Otaniemi. It's related to energy. We of course also want to follow the sustainable development goals, as also already mentioned here earlier this morning. And maybe I would jump to this one, is that again I see that what is happening in this Smart Otaniemi program. So we have different energy solution for mobility, housing, and so on. And in this ecosystem, we have at the moment about 70 companies involved, and of course we want to generate different proof of concept, and I think that this is a good platform also to collaborate with FinEst Twins partners. An additional in a way angle is European angle. So Aalto University, we have been, in addition to the Horizont program, so we participate in 6 different European Institute of Innovation and Technology communities, so EIT communities, and the 2 newest of them are manufacturing and urban mobility. And that has, of course, those programs have, of course, very similar targets than what we are talking here today. And when I'm looking at those 6 different EIT activities, Aalto University is participating. In Finland, we have 7 different EIT kicks we participate. And I would say that I have put the red circle to those areas which I consider very important collaboration platforms also for FinEst twins. We have EIT Digital, EIT our climate kick, then we have urban mobility, and then Inno Energy. So as you see here, that this is just a map of Finnish partners there, but of course in European context there are hundreds of partners altogether in these EIT activities. So I see it very, very important that we manage to connect and collaborate between, of course, inside this FinEst Twins program, but also we can utilize the other networks what you have in Finland and in Europe. So once again, I really want to congratulate the team and also congratulate all partners, because this is very unique collaboration possibility. And there are maybe 2 things one can say. One is, again, congratulations and good luck. Thank you.
Now I would like to give floor to the City of Helsinki, Jani Molis, Director of International Relations. And City of Helsinki actually, in addition to myself, is the organization to be blamed for this in a way, because like the very first initial concept and idea came from their innovation company, Forum Vilum Helsinki, in a way that why don't we put together a proposal on joint digital cities for this teaming instrument. And now, when after 5.5 years, we can start delivering it. So please.
Thank you. I'd like to provide my reflections on the name question as well. I was thinking about it earlier about the FinEst versus FinEst, and of course Fineland would be a good name, because it would be just a direct translation of the original Swedish name Finland, which in Swedish means fine land. Of course, these are the same people that named Greenland Greenland, so maybe they just have a strange sense of humor. Honorable Rector, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and privilege to be providing the expectations from the City of Helsinki and the congratulations for the FinEst Twins project. Being here, if you really take the long perspective and go back to the Swedes that I mentioned earlier, is quite remarkable when you consider that Helsinki was actually founded as a direct competitor to Tallinn in 1550 to lessen the influence of the Hanseatic cities in the Baltic Sea. Through history, we've gone through different phases where, in many ways, Helsinki and Tallinn have not been the sort of control of their own destinies, and maybe the nadir of that happened during the Soviet period, when the 80 kilometers between the cities of Helsinki and Tallinn could have been hundreds or thousands of kilometers in terms of the amount of collaboration that was taking place between the cities. And this I experienced myself personally just at the very end of the period in the summer of '91, when I came to visit Tallinn as a young teenager, and really to think about how much has happened since that visit, and the single ferry Georg Ots that was taking people once a day across the ferry, across the Gulf, with very few people on board. The change has been quite remarkable. The idea of the Twin City was first proposed by the Estonian cultural luminary Jan Kaplinski in 1992, coining the term Helsinki or Hellinna. And at the same, pretty much at the same time, for the first time, the concept or the idea of the tunnel between the cities was suggested as well. These are, of course, examples or parts of the evolution of this region that we now live in, with almost 2 million people becoming more and more integrated in so many different ways. Tens of thousands of commuters going, crossing the Gulf between Helsinki and Tallinn every week. There are more than 11,000 registered Estonian speakers in Helsinki at the moment. The community, the Finnish community in Tallinn is growing very rapidly. For example, there's almost 500 companies, Finnish companies with registered subsidiary companies in Estonia already now. And this development is likely to only increase in speed going forward as the authorities and administrations on both sides of the Gulf are actively working on making it easier to interact between the two communities. For example, in the past year, we've made great progress on the idea of having a joint ticketing system between the public transport systems of Helsinki and Tallinn, and very soon, hopefully, it will be possible to buy a ticket with the same mobile app or use the same EMV card on the public transport systems in both cities. We also have already a FinEst project called the FinEst Smart Mobility Project, which has a lot of smart mobility pilots to make the transition or the movement in the harbors between the cities smoother and easier for the participants. This is the view of how things are for the residents and the people living in the two cities. But really the strength of the Twin City concept to me and to Helsinki comes from the fact, as has been alluded to by many of the previous speakers, that really the strength comes from the joining of the two cities and creating a way of showing us as a joint entity internationally. Rather than competing, we are now working together on a number of progressive Twin City developments which are really unique in the world. There are some other capital cities that are as close or even nearer to each other as we are here, but none of them are working as closely together as we are already. And there are many examples of this, of which the FinEst Twins project is by far the largest and the one with the biggest potential. But before going a bit more into detail of the expectations that the city of Helsinki would have for the FinEst Twins project, let me just run through from my perspective the strengths that we in the Twin City should focus on and build up on. We really have many of the things that we want to make work. We are in Finland and in Helsinki, we have a strong experience of the Nordic collaboration and building a strong Nordic entity between the 5 Nordic countries, and we're very hopeful and happy to bring Estonia and Tallinn along into that group, and looking forward to seeing what the eventual terminology will be, whether we'll be calling it the Nordic 6 or the New Nordics, or bringing the other Baltic states into the grouping as well. The strengths that we have, as has been mentioned before, are very strong use of technology and the infrastructure that is already in place, with the most reliable and fastest internet connectivity, especially on mobile data, the ease of doing business, the low level of hierarchy and bureaucracy, the utilization of open data, highly educated, skilled workforce and professionals with a very strong fluency in English, which is still, for the moment at least, needed in international business. And despite the very recent political events, you could still say that we do have one of the most politically stable regions when you consider the state of global politics at the moment. And not only stable, but also safe, which is as an increasing attraction for professionals and high-skilled talent when considering where to place their operations. We'd like to think in Helsinki that with a moderate size comes many strengths that we can use to our advantage. Our mayor likes to talk about the fact that the city of Helsinki is big enough that it is an urban concentration, so you're able to test things that need an urban environment, but we are small enough that you're able to do so nimbly and quickly, and then scale those results elsewhere. And this, of course, applies just as well, if not better, to Tallinn and even to the combined twin city concept as we are developing it. So, with that background, being here today to launch this new significant project for the twin city development is an exciting opportunity and an exciting moment. Seeing the fair amount of resources that now will be available to enable a new kind of cooperation between our regions. And despite the fact that the cities of Helsinki and Tallinn not being official partners of the project, we are absolutely committed to making sure that it becomes a success and supports the development of the Twin City region as well as the lives of the residents of the cities. The key things that I would see that I would look forward to seeing from coming out of the FinEst Twins project is that, as has been mentioned also before, we would not be satisfied at the city if the result was only academic or research, but rather we would like to see results that are concrete and really impact the everyday life of residents to a very broad scale. Again, not only impacting the enthusiasts or specialists working on very specific areas that are relevant for the project, but really for the residents of the cities as a whole. There is, at least in some circles, there is still some skepticism of the benefit of developing a twin city, and the more very practical, concrete benefits that we can show through the FinEst Twins project as well, the easier it will be to develop the concept more generally. Sustainability is another element that we want to highlight, both in terms of the project sustainability, so making sure that once the project phase ends, there are results that continue to live on and to continue benefiting the city and the residents, but also sustainability from the point of view of climate change and economic and social sustainability. How do we make sure that we do our part in ensuring that as our cities grow and develop, we don't need more resources for doing so? And this is something that I see that the Twin City concept and the FinEst Twins project in particular can and should be addressing. To conclude, I'd like to go back to history again and make the reflection that for the most part of history, cities have really been the defining organization of people working and living together. It's only in the last 100 years or so that we became accustomed to the idea that it is the nation states that oversee and have the biggest impact on our everyday lives, and rather than the cities. And this, in a way, creates an artificial boundary between the cities of Helsinki and Tallinn as well. If you think of them as capital cities of their nation states, the question becomes, what can they do together? But really, over the past few years, and I believe increasingly in the near future, the role of cities will increase again, and they will become a much more distinct and powerful entity that will have a bigger impact on our lives. And from this perspective, seeing that Helsinki and Tallinn work together on building a new kind of a definition of what it is to be a city, even if there is a gulf between, you can still create an entity where people are working and living together in a completely new way, benefiting from the strengths of both cities, growing increasingly into one urban entity. And it's a bold vision. It will not happen overnight. It will not be dependent entirely on any individual project, but every single initiative that is taking place in that field will play a part in it. And I hope and I look forward to seeing the part and the impact that the FinEst Twins project will have on this development. Thank you.
So after the new Green Deal was publicly announced, we have decided that we are energy efficient in organizing conferences and events as well. And that being said is that we are ahead of time, and the best part of being energy efficient is just to be more short and precise. But we are not letting you go for lunch before. We are actually inviting the first presentator after lunch on stage now. So Mr. Indrek Raymond will set the expectations from Estonian government side, as Estonian government is the biggest supporter of the initiative.
So, dear guests, I too would like to congratulate the FinEst Twins team, Tallinn University of Technology with all the partners on making this fabulous idea a reality. As you already know, FinEst Twins is the biggest project of its kind and magnitude to kick off in Estonia. I wish to thank you everyone who have been involved in the process that has lasted about 5 years. Rome wasn't built in a day, and every great idea takes time to develop and take shape. Why is FinEst Twins important for Estonia? Why is the government so invested in doing its part in setting up the Center of Excellence? In our national research, development and innovation strategy, Knowledge-Based Estonia, there are 4 goals. Research in Estonia is of high level and diversity. Research and development functions in the interests of the Estonian society and economy. Research and development makes the structure of the economy more knowledge intensive, and Estonia is active and visible in international RD&I cooperation. So, it is quite rare for a project or an activity to tick all these boxes, and FinEst Twins is certainly one of them. There is no doubt that the level of the research will be high, especially with the cooperation between our local and external partners. Second, the connection between these high-level results and fast-tracking them into real-life usage is also part of the DNA of the Center of Excellence. And last but not least, international cooperation is the very basis of why we are here today. And in addition to that, I think it's sometimes good for something completely new to come to the table and to shuffle the deck, so to speak. I view that fresh wind as a part of the added value that the Center of Excellence brings. A few words about the funding. From one side, FinEst Twins is funded by the European Commission through the teaming funding instrument of Horizon 2020. Thank you very much. But already in 2014, Estonian government decided that if we get a teaming support from Horizon, we will contribute even more. But of course, with our own objectives. So, Estonian government is adding 17.2 million euros, making the total sum of little over 32 million euros. That is a large investment that we are happy to make, given the potential of the results. The government's share will mostly be used to conduct innovative large-scale smart city pilot projects. These pilots will be conducted jointly with public sector, companies, and citizens. I will not go into details. Next speakers will do that. But very shortly, the main criteria for the pilots are testing R&I solutions in the Estonian urban environment. The solutions need to be scalable to other cities and environments. And these solutions need to possess commercial potential for the Center of Excellence. A few points. What would be outcomes for the state as one of the funder? Building partly to what Minister Reps already said, our expectations are to jump high and far, to bring together the 5 key areas: transportation, energy, construction and architecture, data and the governments, and to initiate a qualitative shift while becoming a leading center of excellence for smart city solutions in the area, and why not in the world. Second, sustainability, meaning that FinEst Twins is not just a Horizon 2020 project, but a sustainable and self-reliable center of excellence that stands tall even after the initial project-based period ends, after the first 8 years. That means getting to a point where in 2027 the Center of Excellence is able to sustain itself while taking into account the normal research and innovation funding measures and no extraordinary or dedicated one. And third, from lab to life. Most importantly, we expect FinEst Twins to fast-track research and innovation results to the real life. We want research rolling on the streets of Tallinn. We want the Center of Excellence to build out innovative solutions that are working and will stay there working, meaning that we expect the solutions themselves to be sustainable as well. Sustainable, innovative urban solutions that are scalable beyond our borders is for us the key result, adding to the fact that FinEst Twins in its areas of action will be heavily boosting the Estonian research capacity, public-private research and development cooperation, and the economy at large. Good luck, FinEst Twins.
And as said, being energy efficient, we have very much learned from our Finnish friends, and especially about one initiative called Smart Kalasadama, but very many founders of that are here, and most probably you will hear more about that after the break as well. But the area of that is the logic of Smart Kalasadama area, just an old harbor area being rebuilt into smart city district, is that the builders and architects of that want to give citizens extra 1 hour every day for living there. And this is the logic of this conference as well. We don't aim giving you extra 1 hour, but most probably we manage to give you extra 30 minutes to do something productive. That being said is that we are closing this session now, and we are getting back 1:15, not 1:30, and when we will continue with our session, and most probably we will finalize 30 minutes before. So 1:15 we are here back. Yeah, thank you.
Now, professionally, I'm not sure how much I can contribute into this discussion. My background is in materials engineering. Indeed, smart materials can also contribute into development of smart cities. But my role here is to stand as a vice rector and in the future to do oversight over the newly established Center of Excellence. I believe that the FinEst Twins or FinEst Twins provides many new opportunities for all partners. And these opportunities have to be recognized, and we have to be smart enough to use these opportunities. And it's, I believe, the first time where we have that much resources available which we can use to make impact. And making impact is something which I picked up from the speeches of the morning session. All our stakeholders emphasize that the research by itself is not the goal. It is an enabler, and the making impact is important. How this impact will be made, I really can't tell you right now, but for sure these activities we have planned in the framework of this FinEst Twins Center of Excellence are very well in line with or are already weaved or built into the academic development plan, to the academic strategy of TalTech. And like Aalto presented the 7 spearheads, TalTech has also identified, or not identified, but has been able to choose 5 academic priority areas, which are very well in line with the 5 streams of FinEst Twins: mobility, built environment, energy, and these 3 overarched or embraced by smart city governance and urban analytics and data related research. And I believe that being able to maintain this strong focus, although perhaps not easy, is essential in order to be successful. Also, another expectation which was mentioned several times, which we are very well aware of, is about collaboration. Being able to collaborate on a level of institution, on a department level, through academic disciplines. And my personal opinion and practical understanding is that institutionally, of course, we can promote collaboration and favor it some way, but the collaboration happens very often on a personal level, and the fact that now this collaboration is going to be built between Taltech and Aalto is very logical. And of course, I don't underestimate in any way all other partners, but I'm just emphasizing that Taltech, the researchers or professors of Taltech and Aalto University have already a very long and fruitful history of collaborating, and I believe it's much easier to build collaboration on existing bonds. But there is so much to do. We need to develop organizational culture, and again, not to forget impact. And it's something which is it's not about academic achievements, or at least not only about academic achievement. It's actually being able to deliver solutions which matter and which can be used and will be used to improve the quality of life or the quality of services in both cities. And it's very much about building digital single market and engaging all resources in a broader sense into this. And everybody knows about PPP, private-public partnerships, but there is another P in this list. The fourth one, it's about people, and people, students, and the third expectation which I was planning to address is about sustainability. How to build this center in a way that it becomes self-sustainable, because that is very much the challenge. And from the university perspective, I would say it's very much being able to engage youth. It's about engage students to make these academic competencies relevant in teaching, and again, we have 7 years seems to be a long time, but we need to start with it. Actually, we started with it yesterday. Now, Ralph Martin has prepared another great slide here, which I believe is also educating. It's a background to what is happening today. I mean, we are dealing with mobility, about people commuting between two cities. This is a simulation, or here you can see the Finns being active in Estonia. The next slide presents what is the similar kind of activity of Estonians in Finland, how much these people move, and that is, I guess, some kind of proof, or it can be it's something which you can look at as a method. The data which becomes nowadays available is something which was not available years ago, and using this data definitely makes sense. And nobody exactly knows what kind of services can be built on this, but everybody agrees that most certainly it is going to provide opportunities we have to recognize. And there are about 9 million commutes annually between Finland and Estonia, Helsinki and Tallinn, and I believe this number by itself makes obvious how relevant it is for the people living on both sides of the Gulf. Now, Ralph Martin was saying that we need to become more instrumental. This slide is very instrumental. Much of what's here is told already in the morning session. What I would like to emphasize is the lower part of this slide, the expected income in blue, which is the industry funding and the public funding from competitive sources. So that is going to be one of the measures for this Center of Excellence. So in order to be sustainable, we need to think on the first day how to complement, how to engage more interest and resources, and if we start planning the activities in this way, I'm sure we are going to achieve, or we are going to build this center in a way that it is sustainable. And the potential is huge. It's not only about being relevant for Tallinn and Helsinki. After visiting megacities, I had recently an opportunity with the delegation of Minister of Higher Education and Research to be in New York. The understanding about the potential which is available in these cities, and about the opportunities which are available in these cities, could kind of be a guidance to our ambitions. So it's not about building good stuff for Tallinn and Helsinki, but the ambition must be much higher than that. Doing something good, doing something valuable, doing something new, which can be commercialized also in other parts of the world. So I'm sure I have used my time, and now I will hand it back to Ralph Martin Soe, who is going to give much more in detail the plan about the Center of Excellence. Thank you for your attention.
As you see, that if you give floor to professional speakers and researchers, academics, professors, when you see that they are starting to take your win time back, and I can have the same weakness that if I go over time, sorry, that has really changed after being working for the university the last 5-6 years. So I would really like to give you some bird-eye view on what is our core vision and mission. So why we are doing this? We're not doing this for a reason of raising funds. We're not doing this for a reason of doing research per se. So these are the outputs really, and should be taken as outputs. But I think we have two very large instrumental expectations. One is that to prove that we can build up a competitive, world-famous center of excellence for smart cities, and especially for cross-border smart cities. So we want to show that we are the place for that, and we want to, and already we are comparing ourselves with world-leading ones in that field. So this is one ambition. Another ambition is to really come to the level of cities and come to the level of economy of Estonia in a way that we want to contribute to making Estonian economy more knowledge-based and more competitive. And as Rector was saying, that here we're not talking about small countries nor small universities. We're talking about micro countries, and Estonia itself, it's if you can consider Finland a small country, then Estonia is a micro country. It's like a demo country. And that being said is that we cannot be good at everything. And one strength that we have proven over the last 10 years or even more, it goes back even like 30, 40 years, is that we can build a digital government. And the next step is to show that we can build digital cities as well. And we can do it in a way that we do not build only digital islands, in a way that there is a nice bubble of Tallinn or Tartu or Rakvere or whichever city where everything is digital and works perfectly, but if you go out from that, it doesn't work actually. And this is what has been the biggest challenge as well between the cities of Tallinn and Helsinki, but also between the cities within Estonia and Finland and even outside. So very briefly, this is our timeline. You will see later more specific deliverables as well, but this is how we kick ourselves off in real terms, and this is how we have agreed with European Commission through our grant agreement that in a very early stage, by the 1st of January 2020, we have established management structures. So we are already now autonomous in our management. We have had a lot of pressure and stress and willpower, and I thank university management once again, because we have had several meetings and several negotiations but why this needs to be autonomous and why we really need to set up something new. Why don't we just see it as a project itself? So this is already what we have managed, and truly as of today we are this research and innovation or academic startup. But we really need to start up and we really need to build the team, and we really need to start our operations as soon as possible, and we all see that the expectations are very high as well. In the end of next year, we will welcome you all back, and then we will deliver our first physical deliverable, meaning that we have opened up ourselves physically as well. Hopefully this happens before, but we will start the next year with architectural competition for the best physical office space, demo lab, and university smart city data gathering campus hub, so to say. And as a first step, we really want to open us and offer the office space for all of us. And then the second space is really to be this demo center for everybody interested in smart cities that can come and really see what we are doing. And then we have this transitional aspect of becoming more autonomous and financially sustainable, and our cutoff is after 3 years in operation. And we have built this logic of setting this up in a way that academically and research-wise, Aalto University mainly will kick off the research part during the first 3 years. We will later hear how we are planning to do it, but this is to guarantee the knowledge transfer from Aalto University to Center of Excellence automatically. And that being said is that Aalto University takes the responsibility for kicking this off, and Center needs to then carry this forward following the Aalto University's high-level expectations for academic quality. Second part is that innovation activities will be co-designed with City of Helsinki and its innovation unit, Forum Virum Helsinki, that has been doing this over the last 10-20 years and is, I would say, globally even the most successful in this. And this will be also like a reality check for us that how to become financially sustainable. And we have really already from before starting this project started thinking on this. And now about more instrumental deliverables as well, but in terms of publications and research in general, we have promised to start delivering a lot of publications. And as said, publications themselves are not the goal, but we really needs to be outcome of our strategic research and innovation agenda, making cities more digital and more technology friendly. And we are entering this competitive research funding area right now. At the time when we were writing the application, we didn't know that Horizon Europe will be instead of FP9, and so we just it comes from a proposal slides why it's FP9, but it's Horizon Europe, and we're very happy that it has smart city, smart and sustainable cities mission as well. And then we also introduced a related PhD program. And secondly, and most importantly, to the city environments, to the companies here, to NGOs, everybody that has been supported us throughout the kicking this off, we really want to get to the actual demonstrations level as soon as possible. I know there have been a lot of interest already now regarding the pilots. We have promised that there will be at least 10 large-scale pilots in all the 5 key domains. We have also promised that we start delivering those annually, and we've also promised that we'll do also some mini pilots, some more experimental, agile ones. What we haven't promised is that year 2026 we will have this blockchain-based data gathering mobility pilot. Although if we wanted to, we could invest this resource into actual solutions and services already now. But just like to increase the competitiveness of the center and to give some freedom to actual strategy setting, we will be led by strategy, and we will initiate the pilots that are most competitive in the current time setting. That being said is that and also coming back to the excellent speech by Rector, that in the field of research and innovation, we are all the time in this chaos management situation, and we are competing with everybody everywhere. We do not know where will be the next revolutionary ideas in the city environment coming. And if we do this as a planned economy approach, that we plan everything in advance, we say that we will have zero energy buildings here 2024, and when we have blockchain-based pilot 2025, and when we have like autonomous mobility pilots in 2026, then we might take too much risk into that logic that maybe in 2025 blockchain as technology has proven not to be working anymore, and then we still end up doing that. And very briefly, I already covered this in the introductory session, and I don't go into details anymore, but this just repeats our objectives and missions as briefly as possible. That we really want to contribute to setting up a top-performing center of excellence, really want to make Estonia's economy more knowledge-based, and we want to be world's leading digital single market performer as well. And we have only this small limited amount to kick this off. Now maybe just some illustrations about the pilots. So first of all, Twin City pilots that already have been initiated independent from a center of excellence, but as the collaboration between Estonia, Finland, researchers, cities, and NGOs and companies is that when we started this, for example, cross-border parking was not possible. And this is the example of the challenges we are facing in terms of digital cities, that one city can have one way of organizing its digital parking, which is Helsinki, for example. Another one, Tallinn, will have another one or has another one, and then they actually are not interoperable. And after 5 years of explaining this, at least there is a way how everybody having not Estonian phone number now can use the parking facilities of Estonia as well in the digital way, and that's like one example. Another example is that Helsinki city has also opened its market to new and alternative technologies for organizing the parking, because for years we had a challenge that 1 million cars traveling between the cities didn't have one format of parking. There's still no one format of parking, but it's getting there. Another one is what was mentioned as well, that why don't we have this joint ticketing system between the cities where the commuting is as high as 9 million people between Tallinn and Helsinki, although we're small cities, but there are like so many people, and many of you actually experienced this today coming from Helsinki side. And so city of Tallinn has invited city of Helsinki and Tartu to actually do actual pilot on this, and to put to offer the solution to continue your public transport trip that you start in Tallinn in Helsinki. And most probably it has several business model and policy and technological challenges, so it doesn't work in a way that you take your green card and continue it in Helsinki, or you take your blue card and continue in Tallinn, but it will work in a way that at least there is a mobile application that will offer it. And then we have a biggest challenge that doing the business cross-borderly is challenging, as digital signatures, although technically possible, do not work culturally and institutionally that well. And for that, Estonian government has kicked off this e-residency program that then offers this digital signature option for all the Finnish companies here in Estonia, and so we don't need to travel to give paper-based signatures, but they can actually do it from Finland as well. And that being said is that this is well proven that if we continue this in isolation, that each city is responsible for their own solutions and they're building their digital islands, and then we'll end up in a stupid macro region. And we will not end up in smart macro region, which to some extent is the case of most cross-border areas as well. And this is like our challenge where we want to enter as well. And another important angle is that we really want to initiate actual pilots, and as Renno Veinthal before was saying as well, that pilots that include people in the process as well, and we already have some interest from companies, but we need to follow up throughout our first preparatory stage as well, and we have some hints as well in what directions the pilots may go. So from better data connection to automated mobility to energy efficient and smart houses, and to some extent these are already been as proven pilots as well, that if somebody is interested, then this week we have for the last week in operation like a robot bus pilot in the eastern part of Tallinn, around the Kadriorg Park, where we experience this jointly with Transport Department as a new way of organizing last mile service, and we have also jointly and led by City of Helsinki. We have done several database pilots to solve challenges between harbor areas of cities of Tallinn and Helsinki, and also Vantaa to some extent. But in a way, the best cross-border twin city approach is if you look this macro region of harbors of Tallinn and Helsinki, because one ship departing from Helsinki harbor is automatically a mobility environment challenge for the city of Tallinn, and it's predictable exactly when the ferry is coming in, and you can actually, in a minute-based logic, you can fight the traffic jam because you can predict it, and this is what was done on the Finnish side. And also, most interesting pilot as a result was that we measured the accuracy of all the ships traveling between Tallinn and Helsinki. And then we thought and assumed that we can build various business model based on this, that maybe taxi service could be offered in a way that they know exactly when the ship is coming in, and maybe traffic lights could be more adaptable and could schedule in the arrival of ferry, because it's thousands of people and it directly contributes to the mobility and to a flow of people and so on. And with what we came out as a result was that ships are too accurate on their departing time. And this is like as a joke as well, that we could schedule the start of this event as well so sharp, because we knew that you're not late more than one or 2 minutes on average. So ships are extremely accurate between the cities, but they are actually departing on average 9-10 minutes before the schedule, mainly for environmental reason, but to save the fuel and the environment. And another example is that also like coming from this FinEst Smart Mobility, and that has been like a sister project where we did mini pilots and pilots as well. And we have written several of papers on concept as well. It's all open and public, you can see it. So if you're interested how the cities can collaborate and do joint pilots, we have a method for this. What we had from Estonian side was one Estonian company, GoSwift, that has offered its solution to fight the scheduling challenges on the Russia, Estonia, Russia, Finland, Russia, Latvia borders. But we did the mini pilot and then later a bigger pilot as well in scheduling the heavy good vehicles entering the ports. And this is also like the real challenge that we know that ports of Helsinki, Tallinn, and many other ports in the central in the city as well, that those ports are too attractive to remain as full ports, but they are being rebuilt into office and residential areas. And now the question is that if the mobility stays, what happens with or how to organize like the flow of cars and flow of heavy good vehicles, and for that we offered this solution. But we, as a pilot, we scheduled the entry of heavy good vehicles to the ports, so that they don't arrive too early, but they are parked somewhere outside the city, and then they arrive on time. And we are very open to learning from other successful projects and pilots as well. And one example is this Horizon 2020 Smart City Lighthouse project from the city of Tallinn, city of Tartu, and that aims to show that you can rebuild, reconstruct, and make as smart as possible old Soviet type of non-energy friendly buildings, and you can really build them into as smart and as energy efficient as possible. And that is the big challenge for this region here, that we have a lot of heritage from architectural way of buildings that are not that energy friendly. And then we have some several already being planned pilots on various robotics and vehicle to everything cooperation, connecting robot delivery shuttles, robot buses, public transport, and with a data layer as well. And then we have several, I don't go into details with that because I have really stolen all the spare time that we won. But the logic there is that we have several pilots already currently being planned that how to get data out from its depositories and silos, and based on this, how to make smarter decisions, not only in the government area and city government area, where actually it works quite well in the case of Estonia, but also how to get data shared between companies and even within university and between universities. For example, if you have students here, how could students do everyday research on the electricity consumption of this specific auditorium here? And terrible sorry, but you actually managed and didn't break me on this. But I think it really makes sense as well to go more into depth with some examples and some ideas. We will continue this with Marko Nieminen from Aalto University. So thank you from my side. And we will have like a closure session as well with Marko, planned for 10 minutes, but if you have some more specific questions that you want to raise publicly, feel free to do it as well.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon on my behalf as well. Actually, oh, sorry, I should have started this. Honorary Rector, directors, representatives of the Commission, the cities, universities, companies, dear friends, all protocols observed. That's what I've learned when I've been traveling in Africa, how to open these kinds of the opening words. Okay, now I can feel more relaxed after this with my presentation. Okay, to start. So my name is Marko Nieminen. I'm the professor of user interfaces and usability at the Department of Computer Science at Aalto University. And I've had the honor and opportunity to participate in the planning of, actually in the planning of the late stages of this project, because the project, the FinEst twins, I'm pronouncing it that way, so because of, let's say, diversity, which is important, in the last stages of the project, understanding that there's been work that has preceded, I think, something like, I heard, 5.5 years before this, that it has taken. So what I would like to say is that to thank all those people, those many people, actually dozens of people who have contributed to the preparation of this FinEst Twins project plan and now its realization. This is actually something that I would like to somehow also emphasize at this stage, what is important here. We've already heard today about the importance of collaboration, joint efforts. And we've heard about small countries and even smaller countries, micro countries, whatever they are, and the universities that are even smaller than that. I strongly believe myself that in such situations, in such surroundings, you cannot really, how should I say, compete in the global markets by yourself. You have to collaborate with each other. And this is this project now is a very, very good starting point for that. The theme or topics that are being addressed okay, now makes me feel that, okay. Topics that are being addressed or presented or present in the FinEst Twins project are actually very much connected to sustainability, and I would also to some extent address the climate issues. And I had the privilege and honor to participate in a lunch meeting with the president of Estonia, Kersti Kaljulaid. And in that particular meeting, there was one very important sentence that I learned from her. She mentioned that climate issues do not recognize borders, which is very, very true. And it is something that we need to tackle in a joint manner. And I was sort of happy at that stage to somehow indicate that fortunately we have a project that is just about to begin, in which we can do cross-border research studies and even actually influence some parts of that to education to the young generations in that, which is now in this FinEst Twins. And the themes and topics that are being addressed in this project, the center part, in the very center, are mobility, built environment, and energy. And if we look at what kind of things are in there, what has been mentioned in the research plan, we are In the energy part, I'm starting from the right-hand side. So we are talking about something that how to build, how to construct buildings that are energy efficient, which is understandable. We are living in here where it's dark and rainy and cold. We need to address energy efficiency. What are the zero energy buildings? But on the other hand, at the same time, how to produce the energy that is needed in those buildings. I think that during the last years, or also already during the preparation of this project, there's been substantial development and progress in the area. And what we are seeing is that not just the traditional centralized production of energy, electricity, but also very much about the distributed. And what does distributed energy production, electricity production, and delivery mean for our surroundings is something that I would say we don't know yet, and it needs to be studied. Problems in studying these kinds of complex phenomena typically is that it cannot really be done addressing only technical aspects. It is very much about the surroundings, the context where the technology is being used. My own background is in the area of user-centered design and, so to say, human aspects of computing, where I've learned that you don't really understand the benefits, or you cannot gain the full potential without understanding how the people who are utilizing the technologies really behave. What are the consequences, what are the influences of distributed electricity production and some kind of smart grid operation. Those kinds of studies need to be done in real-life surroundings. And this is what I hope and what I believe that the approach that we have in the FinEst Twins is very much about. It's about doing research and development and innovation work in real-life surroundings. It has been described as living labs. Perhaps the vocabulary is a little bit different, but those kinds of things can be studied. When it comes to mobility, what Ralph Martin already showed us is that when people move from, let's say, public transportation, smart transportation, offering multimodal travel chains in such a way that it is convenient for the travelers and it is also sustainable for the environment is an issue to tackle. How to make public transportation or the public transportation user experience so appealing that so interesting that me living in Espoo in Finland would like to leave my car at home instead of because I want to go and take the public transportation because I have the own driver and convenient surroundings and means of traveling there. How can the traveling be let's say fluent and smooth when I travel from Helsinki to Tallinn and get the services that are there. In the built environment, it's very much about, let's say, human everyday life and behavior. How do the humans behave? How can we collect with all the emerging sensors all kinds of data about the things that happen in the surroundings? We are facing huge amounts of challenges when addressing those kinds of aspects from the viewpoint of the usage of data. What data can be openly available about those kinds of things? What is the data that resides in each and everyone's own devices? How can it be shared? How it needs to be kept private? All these things are still very much in their infancy to study and address. Fortunately, we have something for those aspects as well. So it's not only the technical development that is there, but we have something surrounding about the utilization of the usage of the data in the urban analytics and data, and also about the governance. How to develop services, how to develop the technologies, how to combine technologies in such a way that they really are beneficial and desired by the people living in those surroundings. And how should we govern them? What is the regulation that says what kind of things can be done, what kind of monitoring can take place, and whatnot? Those are the types of important questions that I'm seeing. Now I must say that this is more or less my viewpoint on this, but fortunately for addressing all these important questions we have, it's not on my shoulder, or it is not related to my explanation on how things are. We have a very, very big group of experts. Here are the professors that are responsible of these research streams, and they are leading the groups of people from Aalto. We have several additional professors and researchers, and from Taltech as well. So all these experts now have the possibility to let's say, put their thinking and together and elaborate and delve into the details of the important themes and topics that have been now mentioned in the project. What does the strategic, I was supposed to talk about the SRIA, which is the strategic research and innovation agenda, is about addressing these topics in such a way that, how should I say, world-class research is being done about those topics. And at the same time, that research delivers possibilities, or actually is done in collaboration with innovation, so to say, product development and innovation work in such a way that both benefit from each other. The outcome of this whole work, the way I would like to see it, what will eventually take place, is what are we aiming at creating in the FinEst Twins with this research and innovation work is, well, Ralph Martin showed the stupid macro region. Well, not exactly that, but I would like to consider it as a unified co-creation domain for societally sustainable smart city services for people. Well, it was a big and long description. Perhaps I try to read it again. A unified co-creation domain for societally sustainable smart city services for people. That's what I hope that we will eventually get, without too high, let's say, barriers that would somehow prevent that to happen. Okay, thank you very much. I think this is now my part of this.
Now we have Kerkko Vanhanen from Forum Helsinki explaining how to kick off those Twin City pilots. Thank you, Kerkko.
Thank you, Ralph, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll keep my part now short. Marko did everything in his part. So, FinEst Twins. I came here in the morning and we were pronouncing this word. Is it FinEst Twins, FinEst Twins? But I personally believe it's definitely FinEst Twins, the best possible partners to work together. And we have different stakeholders in this project. We have heard that that there are big and a bit smaller countries, big and a bit smaller cities, and Estonians call themselves even smaller, but let's say that we are now, Forum Virium is the micro partner when we talk about the scale. My name is Kerkko Vanhanen and I'm the program director for Smart Kalasatama Helsinki, and as mentioned, I work for a company called Forum Virium Helsinki. We are 50 people of top experts around urban development, making innovations happen and do smart development with different stakeholders. We are owned by the city of Helsinki, a non-profit company, and we very much work with different EU-funded projects, and we are very happy to be one of the 4 partners, official partners in this Finest Twins for the next 7 or more years. What's the roadmap? What's the vision? What do we aim for? We saw some of the missions in Ralph's slides. That's pretty clear targets for the projects. But in larger scale, it's really important that we have the vision also for the Twin City progress. What shall we become? And in Helsinki, the mayor of Helsinki has said that we are building the most functional city in the world. And I lead the program called Smart Kalasatama, and our vision is 1 more hour a day. And I believe that these both visions are quite good ones also for the Twin City project, to make this whole Twin City concept and people living, working here, to make this place a functional, a great place to live, great place to do business, great place to do research. But it's also important that we have very clear goals in the horizon, and we've gotten in Helsinki this one. We aim to be carbon neutral by 2035. And when we now do the research, the innovation together in this project, I believe that it's quite important to have such quite obvious goals in our minds. We need to aim to be sustainable, and carbon neutrality is one part of that. The projects Forum Virium has been involved during the years have had something to do with those common visions and the goal mentioned before, to be more sustainable. Those are just the names, the acronyms of the projects we've been involved or leading, and it's also the way how we support to make urban environment a good place to live in. What we will add in this project, one important part is that we add the strength of doing things together, co-creating urban futures, as we say in Forum Virium. We need to have different stakeholders with their strengths, and we need to support each other with the weaknesses we have. That we do together. We need cooperations. We need new innovations from the startup level companies. The public sector, the state level, the city level, the twin cities, they need to offer the platform to do innovations and new business, and to benefit themselves from that. We have to have the research, the academic world in the close relationship with them as well. We have to prove what we do that it has impacts, and we have to see in the horizon the new targets towards which we walk together. And in the center, we have the people, the owners of everything. Forum Virium, we kind of are with the people in the center. We bring everyone together, and we also add some expertise as well. So it's not public-private partnership, but public-private people partnership. It's also so that we need to know something what we are doing together, the framework we have also for the Finest Twins project, don't we? That's kind of top-down in this case, but then we build everything bottom-up. We want to involve different stakeholders, listen to them and refine the goal. We are famous in Helsinki and in Forum Virium about the agile piloting projects we've been running for years, and the concept we have built that has been copied in different cities in Finland, and also, for example, in the city of Stavanger in Norway. I just got an email about one story in local newspaper in Norway where they just mentioned how the concept of agile piloting has been copied from Helsinki and how it's been now in use in Stavanger. It's quite actually simple one, but you need to do things and repeat things to learn what actually is the most effective way to do close cooperation between people, between the companies and the public sector. With the companies, we offer market references and instant feedback from the users. We engage the citizens to be part of the change. We want to find the early adopters to be the messengers. We offer instant feedback, as I said, for the companies who then are able to tune their business plan if necessary. Not everything will be success, but as in the gaming industry in Finland, they say that early failure is part of true success, and that's how it should be, I believe, also in other development and innovation work. And to find future use cases. I believe that in this Twin City, Finest Twins project, one really interesting thing what we should find is that what actually does it mean to become a real Twin City if we aim to be one? And what actually can we offer for the companies doing business in this region? What is necessary in economical level? What is necessary in logistics level? What is necessary in social level, so that we accept as different stakeholders the common goal where we are not competing between Helsinki and Tallinn, as Jani Mollis said that some 400, 500 years ago we were meant to be competitors. Now we are meant to be partners, aren't we? So the agile piloting is quite fast-going circle. Listen, plan, define, test, learn and revise. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Something will start to fly. We get a lot of international attention, and we are asked what actually is a smart city, what's the definition of a smart city, and I very often answer that our definition does not include, or we don't see it so that we upload the city with the latest technology and that is the smart city. Of course we need some technology as well, but especially we believe that we need to produce data, and data is the kind of foundation for knowledge. And when we have knowledge, what we share openly to people, we actually can see that a smart city is full of people doing smart decisions. So I believe and I wish that this Finest Twins project will increase again the amount of knowledge we have, and based on the knowledge the people here will be able to do even smarter and more sustainable decisions. Every day we ask what we do, will it have impact? Who are the early adopters? Or what will happen anyhow, no matter what we as a company or individual people do? Or do we live in a bubble? And the answer to the last one, at least how I feel it, is that in Smart Kalasatama it's probably a bit a bubble, yes. That is quite clear answer. Average age of the people living there is 25, 35, so they are quite adaptive. They are not from all social economic groups. But on the other hand, it's been a great platform, urban platform for us to test and experiment innovations. But if we want to have true impact, we need to succeed in scaling things. So in the Finest Twins project, I personally wish, and I believe we as a company, Forum Virium, we wish that the academic research in the project will support the cities, Helsinki and Tallinn, to understand and solve challenges the cities face in urban transformation that anyway will happen. And that we manage to build a two-way bridge for knowledge and practice sharing. That means that, okay, when this project, the preparation for the project started, and the reason how we got funding for the project, there were certain rules, but we believe in Helsinki that the bridge has to be to both directions, and we have a lot to learn from people, from companies, from public sector of Estonia as well. So even though we are building a center of excellence here, that center of excellence will be for both cities. And we will be able to build close cooperation between the companies, the public sector, the owners, and the owners are the people. Let's bring those people in the center of what we are doing, and let's avoid of doing this project in our own bubble. So, Forum Virium and the Center of Excellence, we will be the catalysts to make innovations happen, and we will co-create urban futures together. And we will be open for testing and experimenting. Our mind will be open, and the results we achieve, we will share openly. So let's test here, let's scale it up to big business elsewhere, and make it good for the economy in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, and we have last session coming in. We have so many people and so many organizations to be thankful for that have helped to kick us off. And we have throughout the preparatory stage, we have received more than 50 support letters from different companies, universities, NGOs, various organizations. But there is one key connected organization that has stronger ownership to that, which is ICT cluster of Estonia. Because the first idea and the first concept was actually accelerated, so to say, from ICT cluster or ITL in Estonian, and then later it was brought over to university as it became bigger, and then now it's like the core university project. So for that I would like to give a floor to Doris Põld, who is managing the ICT cluster.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I will not speak so much about the Finest Twins project, but more I would like to introduce you one possible cooperation partner for this project. As already Ralph mentioned, that we are very proud and happy that we had the chance to be in the first steps when the Finest Twins started. And why we were there, or who we're representing, then yeah, ITL is an industry association who is representing then for the Finest Twins project also cooperation network of more than 96 companies altogether. So our main aim is briefly to represent, of course, those companies' interest. Then let's see how this works. Then, of course, to work for all the political environment, to work for the digital e-state issues. This is the main working areas what we are covering. The digital economy, cooperation between the other economical sectors, and that's how it also very closely connects with Finest Twins for us. And of course, ICT education, workforce issues, and R&D activities, how to boost it all. This is something which is common interest of these 96 companies who are in the cluster today, and who helping with whom together we all those activities are implementing. So this is the network what we are representing and who we offering in order, as the previous speaker also mentioned, that the very close cooperation with the companies is needed. Then this is the network what we can offer for this cooperation to go in very practical in this project. I would more closely maybe bring out the ICT cluster as the ITL as its initiator have initiated then year 2009 the cooperation network of the IT companies with the main aim to boost the innovation and cooperation between the companies and to bring closer the companies with other economical sectors. And why it's important and what are the concrete examples what we have done. Maybe it gives also the ideas how we can more closely cooperate in the frame of the Finest Twins. So the main thing what we're offering is internationalization. It means the exporting technology what we have and raise awareness about the Estonian capabilities, our companies. Of course, then the cooperation innovation. To increase the usage of ICT in different economical sectors, to initiate and create the environment for the new innovative projects, as the Finest Twins is one of them. To create an environment where we can companies bring together and these kind of new ideas can come up. And of course, the workforce development is something which is, I think, the one thing which brings all the companies very closely together. It's their common challenge and the common thing what everybody needed, and that the quality of that is very important. So some maybe very concrete, small examples, what we have done, which kind of cooperation activities, what we have done, what we are doing, just in this, give ideas, what can be the activities where we can be helpful. So our main task have been to create an environment for the innovation and create an environment for the cooperation between the companies, between the other economical sectors, and it's all in that sense that to be more competitive together. I think one very concrete example for that is eEstonia brand. How many of you have heard about eEstonia? Yeah, I see, most of you. And this is something which have where we are very proud that this have became out from the cluster. Companies worked out the story and told also to everybody else, this is how to market our story. And now we can be happy that the public sector, private sector, we speak the common language here. We speak in the same way about it, and this is something to be proud of. And when we're going out somewhere, we don't have to go out as every company one by one, but we go out as one. eEstonia brand, eEstonia companies. And this makes the going international markets and all this part makes so much easier for us. I think this example is something which should be very well known in Finland, ITS Finland network. And in Cluster, we are proud that ITS Estonia is the cooperation network which is here in Estonia initiated by the Cluster. We were the main initiator, took the initiative to bring together public sector, private sector, different areas, and logistic ICT, who are working in the frame of the intelligent transport systems in order to boost innovation in the logistic and transport area. And so this network works under the ITL, under our cluster, and this could be like a very good starting point when we're looking at very practical cases where to start to cooperate under the FinEst Twins project, or where to do the real success cases, or where to test, with whom to test them together, because we're gathering all those companies. And we have very good cooperation also with the similar organization in Finland. Maybe one example where we have done this kind of cooperation to boost innovation in a very traditional industry sector. This Ragnarok, this is a smart workwear, what we did, and this is example where we have a challenge from the traditional industry side, and we put together this kind of consortium. ICT companies, university, traditional industry, and as an outcome is a proof of concept and also the piloted real product of the smart workwear, which has all the clever things inside what is possible. The fall detection, heart rating monitors, speed text to make memos that when you're working in a very heavy environment, in mining industry, in fishing industries and so on, then these workwears can be very helpful. And this kind of putting together this consortium, testing those together, this is something where the cluster can very successfully help to find the common ground. And that could be the main idea, why this kind of testing is good to start. One area which definitely connects all the companies is the education part, ICT education and all the R&D activities. And here the cooperation examples could be IT Academy, which is launched in 2011 with the main aim to promote ICT higher education, to bring, let's say, international specialists, more doctors, PhDs to Estonia, to increase the quality of the education, and to foster the closer cooperation in the workforce development between universities and between the companies. And also to, let's say, demand from the companies to give more input into the workforce development. And this works right now also very successfully, I think. And thanks to that, we have more and more the curriculums and innovative ways how to work in a matter of to get more workforce to the ICT. The retraining program is also a very good example of the public sector and then the private sector cooperation. That there we have the program how with the 3 months we retraining the people from the other field with non-technology education people who have the higher education in some other field, how we're retraining them with the 3 months to be junior programmers. And they're a very close cooperation between the companies, and there is needed. Start IT is something, again, in the same field, example where the companies and universities are cooperating in order to make ICT education more popular among the youngsters. And this is web platform, you can see it, look it, and it works very well for us. So we see right now let's say, the outcome for that, and how this very simple tool can be, and this simple cooperation that we show all the universities, what they are giving, which kind of education they're giving in the ICT field, and we're introducing it to the youngsters in the, let's say, in very many cases, sorry to say, but human language, and how it makes now the ICT education more popular in Estonia. So this kind of very close cooperation with the universities, I think also it's something where it's always good to start from this kind of organizations as the cluster is, because we're gathering the bigger crowd of the companies, bigger amount of the companies, and their opinion. We're gathering together, and that's why in Estonia we're very much working together through that with the company's side. So I think this is the very shortly about what we are doing and how we could help, and I hope this is just the start among the Finest Wins project, and I will see in the future the real connection point and real this kind of that Ralph is writing me and asking that which kind of company we can involve in the Finest Wins projects. Thank you.
So we have one last presentation, and as you see, we have pretty much eaten all the time that we won at some point, but we are like very nice, still a bit ahead of schedule. And as a last presentation, we have Roope Ritvos from Demos Helsinki, and actually today I received one book that Roope also has, that I wasn't aware of before, that somebody brought me from the local market, book market, for me to read, and that's written by and organized by Demos Helsinki. But the reason initially why we invited Roope here is that he has been one of the key strategic thinkers and actual planners of operational activities of Finest Wins as well. So in a way, the logic how we kick off our operations and how we deliver our outputs is Roope's, because out of those 5.5 years that we prepared this initiative, he was working 5 years for this Forum Virum Helsinki as a partner. And now, even more importantly, or not importantly, but strategically, it was moved to Demos Helsinki that has a strong vision for joint cities as well, of cities and Helsinki and Tallinn. So please, Roope.
Thank you for the nice words and delegating blame of the future. So, okay, it's bright. Good afternoon, honorable rectors, professors, friends, and colleagues. Thank you for the invitation to be here, and I'm honored to be here with you today after the 5.5 years. I'm Roope. I'm Director of Research Operations in Demos Helsinki. Demos is a 50% independent and non-profit think tank / research organization in Helsinki. And in Demos, we work on speeding up the change toward fair and sustainable societies. And we do this by helping public and private organizations in their journeys, as well as by doing actual research. And Demos research expertise is around 3 domains, and all of these relate very closely to the Finest Wins Center of Excellence. So we do urban transformations, government innovations, societal aspects of technologies, and then futures research tying these together. For the urban transformations, I think it's quite obvious for all of us here, the link. The world's largest passenger port between the 2 capital cities, connecting 2 very similar yet very different societies together, makes the smart twin city an intriguing research target. The context of smart twin cities, digital citizenship, digital public services, and digital governance provides an excellent opportunity to rethink and deliver a new kind of digital government innovations that can act as a lighthouse for the European digital single market and the European digital citizenship. And I'm proud to say, in Demos Helsinki, we are one of the world leaders in futures research, both thematically as well as methodologically. And the futures research means scenarios development, forecasting, backcasting, anticipation studies, and so on. And we've been doing this for and with several governments in and outside EU, many cities in Europe, and some of the largest companies in the world, and so on. And most of what we've been doing revolves around the domain that here in the Nordics is governed by the cities. For example, we will be researching the futures of urban mobility for a German automotive manufacturer, for a Dutch bank, and to one of Europe's largest public transport agencies. In Finnish context, what we've been doing is devising futures of work and health and urban issues in the context of Finnish Strategic Research Council programs of Academy of Finland. And the futures research is not just data extrapolation of the social and economic trends. More so, it's about and tries to capture the collective ambitions, dreams, and fears of people, businesses, public sector organizations, and researchers. I give you concrete examples of this work. The book. I'm glad you have it already. I was planning to give it to you. 11 years ago, 2008, we made a book called Helsinki-Hellinna. It was a serious futures research on the development of the twin city for Helsinki-Tallinn regio. And it says, this is Demos Helsinki vision, how the twin city will be built over the sea. In the book, the twin city was playfully called Helsinki-Hellin or Helsinki-Hellinna, so I'm not kind of deciding what the name will be. And on the side of the serious part, it also contains some concrete predictions, inspiring glimpses into the futures that narrated in human scale how the future might look like. I'm going to read a couple of these for you then. So, and you have to remember, this is 11 years ago. The world looked quite different. So we predicted, for example, that following it will take place, and I start with the far future. 2045, so 26 years from now, quote, for the first time, the Nobel Prize is given to a Helsinki-Hellinna citizen. Mr. Raivo Rusi will be awarded for the prize for the development of local democracy model for Hellinna. The model has become so popular that it has made people invest their time and income to improve the well-being and development of their local districts. So this we should be expecting 26 years. 2035, 16 years from now in future. Öga Berliini on lentolause Hellinnas, kun tuhantet ihmiset tunglevat rongireisidellä Europa sydämme poole. Linnafanaatikut rääkivät Berliini Hellinna pärlikeest, missä yhdentä Balti riikide pealinna ja Varssavi. So 11 years ago, the future's dream for the night in Berlin from Helsinki was a train that was planned to be 2-hour maglev train opening in 2035, 16 years from now. But also, coming closer, today, for this year, the prediction was 2019, not yet, 2023, the old-fashioned railway tunnel between Helsinki and Tallinn will be open in 4 years from now. And from that, for this year, 2019, the prediction was that the Helsinki-Tallinn railway tunnel project would start and tunnel fanatics would arrange train station design competitions. And this year, what we have seen in real life is the Tallinn train station design competition and the result by Zaha Hadid architects. So that was quite on target on a year as well as in the content. Also 11 years ago, predicted the following. In 2017, I'm going to read this first in Estonian. Tallinna ylikoulu ja Aalto ylikoulu yhdinevad tippylikooliksi. So Tallinn University and Aalto University will merge to form a world top-class university. So looking at today's agenda, we got the other university wrong. And you have to remember that Aalto University did not exist at that time in place. Me myself, I can't take credit for the scenarios. I'm quite new to Demos Helsinki, as Ralph mentioned. And some of you remember me from the preparation stage when I was working for my beloved Forum Virum Helsinki. So I kind of moved from the kind of deliverer side to the user of the research result side in a way. But if you look at the Finest Twins project values and objectives, you can notice that we were reading the book actually quite carefully when we were planning the Center of Excellence, at least in the Forum Virum side. So as there is no free lunch, there are no free futures research. So what we want in return for that from Demos side now. 3 things. 1 is research context. The transformation of the smart twin cities in all its tensions, the differences between the GDP and median incomes between the cities are getting smaller, but they still are there. There are 70,000 twin citizens daily on the wrong side of the bay. The integration of establishment of the differences and similarities on the people's level, but even more so on the governance and city administration side, is a super interesting problem area, an excellent playing and thinking crowd for research-oriented think tank like us. Second, research collaboration. The Smart City Center of Excellence, to my opinion, is the best thing ever for research collaboration in our macro region. But let's be honest, it's a collaboration of two technically minded universities with engineering, business, design-oriented innovation schools. So maybe adding some kind of a societal research aspects like ourselves would bring in some benefits for all the participants. And third, and maybe most importantly, research platforms for use. Doing multi-country research is logistically very hard. Several languages, several traditions regarding research, doubling of research permits, several national funding sources to mix various repositories of data, differences, data qualities, and so on. So I'm quite hoping the Center of Excellence will help a bit on that in our ambitions. Back to the futures. This year we also visited the futures of the Twin City, again with a scenario called the Tallinn-Helsinki Metropolitan Area for 2030. We developed this for a client called FinEst Bay Area Development Company. The newer futures work end up being named the Zone of Open Optimism. In futures research, the optimism is a very difficult domain, especially in the area where we will now live, where both climate and social inequality are in quite existential level crises. When researching the futures, we look toward the possible futures, those kinds of futures that could exist. Then we go for the probable futures, the futures that we envision might have a realistic chance to exist. And finally, and maybe most importantly, the preferred futures, those that people would, with some assumptions, prefer to live in. If you look at carefully of the predictions 2018, some of the megatrends maybe we a little bit underestimated, like climate crisis. Back then there was a lot of optimism about the politicians and industries actually being able to solve the problem back then. Much of that optimism is gone now. And if you look at this year's scenario, Twin City scenario, Zone of Open Optimism, the climate change and its implications are quite in the center of the forecast and the scenario's development, meaning quite much examples on sustainable transport, meaning the railway tunnel between Helsinki and Tallinn. But also you can notice from the predictions 10 years back that many of them actually became some kind of a representation in our real life now. The idea of the merge of the universities became Smart Twin City Center of Excellence between Aalto and Taltech, and the railway tunnel plan that was a dream in 2008 has become a realism instead of being just a dream. And I think this is the key characteristic and role of a think tank and role of futures research in this kind of a collaboration. So forecasting the futures also will drive some of these futures to happen. So the scenarios are not just plain boring database analysis, they are also propositions for the preferred possible futures as well as to those futures we want to avoid. In addition to data, futures research is about uncovering the dreams, fears, ambitions of people, creating narration and concrete for the road to take. So I return to Raivo Rusi. 11 years back, we predicted that Mr. Raivo Rusi will be the first Hellin citizen, formal twin citizen, who will win the Nobel Prize, and this will happen in 2045. Back then it was 37 years in the future. Today it will be 26 years in the future from this moment. And actually, since our other predictions in the book were quite successful and close to the real life, I'm very confident about this one as well. So, Miss Riley Rusi is now starting her PhD studies here at the FinEst Twins Smart City Center of Excellence in the domain of digital democracy. Please look after her, as she will win the Nobel Prize for her work in developing local democracy model for Hellin. But only and only if you let her dreams develop, thoughts deepen, and digital democracy experiments take place in the Smart Twin City Living Lab.
Okay, so we can wrap it up now with Marko.
Okay, I must say that it has been today most pleasant and wonderful event to be here to listen to all that, to get all the ideas to somehow realized or started so that we can start working on those. Okay, I was thinking of that. What could be? Now. And it's. Very, very good. Okay. So I was thinking that what kind of things remain in my mind after all these presentations is something that what we've been hearing is the close collaboration and cooperation of universities, industries, citizens, and actually governments as well. And this is something relatively special that we most probably don't have such surroundings in many parts of the world at the moment, in which all these actors can jointly work. I've been, I mentioned about my travels to Africa, and I cannot remain without saying one word about the style of doing business, because what we should be somehow thinking is that how do we create businesses as well out of the work, out of the research work, out of the co-creation work that is there. And being a small country and a micro country, we cannot do things just by ourselves. We need to collaborate. But I think that applies to the way of organizing the development, research and development and business activities elsewhere as well. We don't have that many people that we could export to different parts of the world. So we need to develop collaborative and cooperative ways of developing and implementing the solutions that we figure out here, so that also wherever we go, we incorporate the local citizens, local surroundings, local communities in that. And I have a feeling that that might actually serve as one of the good benefits for the work and ideas that are developed here, because there are bigger players out there which can export all the people, all the materials, and develop it by themselves. We must always collaborate and do things together, and that might be a way of doing sustainable business, sustainable development as well in the future. I hope that we can experiment with some of that in our FinEst Twins project now.
Yes, I think very nicely walk through from the idea of fine land to hell city today, and have to say that I'm very happy that this event took place, because obviously it's a huge honor to have all of you here and invite you here and to steal this time from you. But on our hand, this comes back to one discussion what I had with the only ERC grant holder at Taltech, Vasilis, also here, but he was saying that he forgot to celebrate as well. And I think that was very positive that he mentioned this before. I kicked this off because now this really is a celebration, at least to us, to really have like a formal way to thank all of you for supporting us. We really want to keep up high expectations. Really want to say also thank you to university, to Nurkse department for hosting this idea and accelerating it at the later stage. And also to a close colleague of mine, Lilsar, that helped to put this up, and then to many other people as well that has helped either organizing this event or then contributing directly to making this happen. And as I mentioned, that on purpose, we didn't invite organizations, nor we didn't send the invitations to massive lists for this event, but really went through everybody that have their stake on this and have helped make this happen. And now that being said is that we remain open to all of you, and we remain responsible to making this happen as well, in terms of everybody that has supported and that continue supporting as well us, hopefully. And with that, I think we can close today's event. as said, we only managed to give you 1.5 additional minute, and as you can see, when professional speakers enter the stage, when they consume all the time that is there, and so logistically, everybody interested in the university and in this knowledge transfer center, Mektori, please stay here. There will be a tour, and everybody else that already has seen it. I wouldn't say not interested, but who had already been here or know what this venue here is, when you are free to leave. And from our side, thank you once again for coming here and spending this half day with us.
Thank you.